Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
Good morning, Aurora. I am Brenda Rogers, candidate for Kane County Recorder of Deeds. As your next Recorder of Deeds, I will protect our taxpayers' investment, bring awareness to the position, and do outreach to our residents and veterans. I am asking for your vote during early voting, mail-in ballot, or on November 3rd. Vote for Brenda Rogers, Kane County Recorder of Deeds, paid for by Citizens for Brenda Rogers.
Accountability in government is not a nice to have, it's a must have. That's why I'm voting for Tracy Miller for Kane County Board, District 4. As a mother and businesswoman, she understands the middle class. She's fighting to keep property taxes from going up and to keep us, the citizens, informed of what's taking place. I want a voice in county government that listens to me. That's why I'm voting Tracy Miller on November 3rd for Kane County Board, District 4. Paid for by Friends of Tracy Miller.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. The second largest city's first daily news podcast is here for your Wednesday morning. And we have a great interview coming up for you guys after the news and weather. We are sitting down with our friend of the show, the author of Chaos to Clarity, a success journal, Marianne Renner. Glad to have you on the show today.
Thank
Glad to have you on. All right, so I want to, we're going to start off with the news. Christine's going to kick us off with everything, but I just want to say, remember folks, Breast Cancer and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you can donate and volunteer, please do so. And the news.
All right. Halloween is coming up. Can you believe it?
It
is like almost
we're here already. Yep.
It doesn't seem like it, but it's here. And Luigi's Pizza is going to be hosting trick-or-treating on October 31st from 4 to 6 p.m. Luigi's is located at 732 Prairie Street in Aurora. The public is invited and parking and admission is free. There'll be goodie bags with treats, coupons, and discounts will also be handed out there. Also going on this month, Sugar Skull City. Have you taken a look downtown and watched all the windows? Isn't it amazing?
Super cool, yeah.
The local business owners have put so much time and effort, as have the artists. So please check that out and support the local businesses, especially our restaurants, bars, and all those things now more than ever. Good morning, Aurora Sports. The Dodgers dominated Game 1 yesterday. They beat the Rays 8-3, and then Game 2 is tonight. You a baseball fan?
I have 6 brothers, so I have to be a Cubs fan. Yeah.
See? That's how, yeah. And then the Bears play the Rams on Monday, and then the Packers play the Texans on Sunday. So kind of a slower midweek here, so not too much going on in the sports realm.
Yeah. All you sports fans, there you go. There you go. I'd say get the, husbands. I don't know, do husbands still get the boys together on the Saturdays and play football? Do they do that? Does anybody get a case and go out there and throw the pigskin with the boys? That's the good old American weekend. Not watching sports, but playing sports. Now, I don't do either, but I'm just saying, All right. So now for the weather. Today will be 57 degrees and partly cloudy. That high will be reached at about 3 p.m. Tomorrow will be 75 degrees with a 60% chance of rain. Sounds kind of muggy. And Friday, there will be an 80% chance of rain. So right now, it's kind of cloudy or gray outside as well. Somber mood, kind of a Nirvana 1994-ish kind of feel. But I like that kind of weather. So if you do as well, dig in. The next rounds of the Change Initiative sessions are as follows. Tomorrow, Maine Baptist Church, 814 East Galena Boulevard. Thursday the 29th, Impact Church at 4054 Fox Valley Center. And Thursday, November 5th at Society 57, 100 South River Street. Society 57 is a wonderful place, so shout out to Society 57 and our friends over there right across from the Aurora Public Library, the Santori building. Great place. Can't wait till that opens up again.
Avocado toast is bananas.
I keep hearing about the avocado toast.
2.0 though.
2.0.
2.0.
Yes.
That's the best.
I gotta get hip. I'm not hip.
You
I
got
gotta-
it.
There's like
You got it.
there's
You'll get
avocado
it.
toast and there's 2.0 and then there's something new too.
I
Can't
know.
remember
Okay,
exactly.
avocado toast. Shout out to Society 57. Made me a believer right there. Interesting history. On this day in 1805, the Battle of Trafalgar entered legend. A fleet of 33 ships, 18 French and 15 Spanish, under Admiral Pierre Charles Jean Baptiste Sylvestre de Villeneuve, fought and was defeated by a British fleet of 27 ships under Admiral Horatio Nelson in the Battle of Trafalgar. Combat was waged west of Cape Trafalgar in Spain. As a Navy veteran and a guy who likes history, I'm spreading that to you today. That's an awesome piece of news. A little bit of something cool there, you know? How about that? Admiral Nelson, he had one arm. Imagine doing all that with one arm. Terrible. All right. Now, I spoke to you about the listening sessions. I forgot to mention that they start at 6 and you have to register at www.auroratagil.org/change. Attack is just Navy term for a dash. We posted that link. Please go onto our Facebook page and you can access that link and go register. Zen Leaf in Aurora has opened. It is the city's first adult use dispensary located at 740 South Route 59. Officials expect the dispensary to generate more than $1 million in tax revenue a year. There was a ribbon cutting for that just yesterday. So shout out to a new business that's opening in the city of Aurora. And I think that's all for the news. I think that's about it. Did we hear anything in the news? I don't think we forgot anything in the news.
I think you know.
Yeah, I think we did get it all. Oh, Two Brothers is open again. I don't know if people know that. Two Brothers is open. So Two Brothers Coffee, the old roundhouse,
Okay.
that's opened up again. Yeah, just wanted to let people know that. People been hitting me up. Is it open? It's open. All right. And with that, we can get into our interview with our friend of the show, Marianne Renner. Good to see
Hey.
ya.
Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm grateful and I'm honored to be here.
Thank you, and thank you for the coffee.
You're so welcome. Yeah, supporting
Indiro.
local businesses. I love Indiro.
Yep.
I love their mission. Eliminating child vulnerability, brewing a better world. Love the people there, the staff. They're so service oriented,
They are.
which is a big deal to me. So yeah, you're welcome.
We're fortunate to have so many coffee shops
Yes.
in downtown.
Yeah, and
Aurora
all
in general.
different.
Yes,
All have
yeah.
different, different vibes, different,
Yeah, different
Yeah.
field.
Yep.
So let's talk about you now,
All
and Aurora. Tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
So my name is Marianne Renner, and I'm a transformational leadership coach, author, and keynote speaker. I work with aspiring, emerging, and established leaders and helping them move from chaos to clarity, as you mentioned, really to become all they were meant to become. Because I believe each of us on this planet Earth has a unique purpose. And it's really love helping people discover, pursue, and fulfill that purpose.
That's good. Now, were you born in Aurora?
Yeah, I'm
Born and raised? All
born
right.
in Aurora.
Okay.
My father, if he were alive, he would be 103 years old.
Wow.
He was
Wow.
born in Aurora. He was born in the house I was born and raised in.
Yeah.
I have 8 older siblings, all East High Tomcats, all graduated from
Go
East High. So
Tomcats.
a lot of family history here,
Yeah.
and I have a lot of pride for this community.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
And tell us about your educational background. Where'd you go
Okay.
to school?
So Wabansie. So I have an associate degree from Wabansie. Very proud graduate of Wabansie in journalism, and then went on from there to Northern Illinois University, Husky there, and graduated with a journalism degree. I started my career as a newspaper reporter, which we were just talking
Yes, we
about
were.
before we
Yes, we
started
were.
recording. And I lived out of state for a while and reported for a daily newspaper in northern Minnesota, and then made my way back here and transitioned into marketing, public relations, communications. That's where I spent a majority of my career, was in marketing communications.
Nice. Now, did you work at the Northern Star when you
I
were
did.
at
I was
at
the
DeKalb?
editor of the Northern Star
Oh my
when I
God.
was there. I wrote, if you went to NIU, I don't know if they still have a Friday column. For years, it was a big deal to have the Friday column, and I did that for a while, and covered city news and did a little bit of freelancing for the Chicago Tribune while I was there, covering news in the city. of DeKalb. So yeah,
very
it was
cool.
a great time, great experience.
Beer Nuggets, Lucalos, all those places.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
It's like this big
McCabe's
dough
was a
balls.
big deal.
Are you
Yeah,
ladies
know.
having a moment
We're
right
having
now?
we're having a
I'll
now
tell
your
ya.
DeKalb moment here.
Yeah, the after hours activities, and when I could, I mean, I was working a lot. You know, the northern,
That's a lot, yeah.
the Northern Star was it's a daily newspaper. I mean, it was a larger circulation than the city newspaper, so it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough critics
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Growing up, what impact did your dad have on your life?
Yeah, so interesting. And you were asking. So my siblings all are East High Tomcats. When I was 11, we moved. So I went to junior high and high school outside of Aurora, and then made my way back. And so it was my dad and I a lot of the time, because so one of the things that I like to share with people is, I talk a lot about writing stories. I was a newspaper reporter.
Yeah.
You know, back in those days, it was cool because I'm writing stories about other people's lives. You know,
Right.
A lot of stories. Well, what I didn't realize was that the biggest story that I was writing was the story of my own life.
Ooh, okay.
Not with a pen and paper, not with a laptop, but with this. All day long, we're writing stories with every thought that goes through our mind. And my story began, and this is really ultimately what led me to helping other people, but my story began when I was 9 years old. And I was standing in my family living room on the east side of Aurora, looking eye to eye with my father, and he said 3 words that forever changed my life. Mommy's in heaven.
Wow.
And in that instant, I started writing my story. What's going to happen to me? Who's going to take care of me? What about me? And it evolved, and I won't bore you with all the details, but it evolved into a story. And many of the stories we're writing started at a young age, and they become automatic. And maybe we need them at a young age, but they don't necessarily serve us as adults. And what about me and what's going to happen to me sort of became a story for me. And it led to, a lot of other things. It led to depression, and honestly, I mean, I don't talk about this a lot publicly, but if people ask, I certainly will. The suicide attempts, alcoholism, all these things that I was trying to figure out how to escape those bad feelings. And ultimately, when I learned that I was writing the story and searching for those relief from those bad feelings, led me to learn that I could write a new story. Just by changing my thoughts. And so as I started to write a new story, I started to see every area of my life change. And ultimately, most people on some level are writing a story of, what about me, and what's going to happen to me, and what job, the pain in my job, and what am I going to get laid off? And right now, a lot of people are living in a lot of fear.
Right.
Am I going to lose my job? And then that just evolves into my boss is a tyrant, and I'm so miserable. And it's really rewriting those stories that you're telling yourself, the questions you're asking yourself, shifting from limiting beliefs and fears and doubts to empowering beliefs. We were talking about this before we were recording, and that people are having these fear-based conversations. And what if we can shift that conversation to the sense of worthiness and accomplishments? Like, my clients will say, I'm too young, I can't do that. Or, I'm too old, I'll never do that.
Right.
I don't have the right degree for that job. Those are all stories. And if you can change your stories, you can change your outcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I've seen this happen. I saw my own life change as I rewrote my own story, and I thought, well, if it worked for me, maybe it'll work for other people too.
Right.
So I started sharing. I work with leaders, as I mentioned. So many times leaders have great talent, skills, and competence, but are lacking confidence. And they certainly aren't going to tell anyone.
Right.
And so that's where I come in and really rewriting those stories to build that confidence.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of those struggles, and I think more people, in fact, I know more people struggle with a lot of those same things. So it's always good to learn, from somebody that you can relate to help overcome these obstacles.
Yeah.
Too.
I think, I didn't really share that publicly for years, and I share it so that, this is the story that I hear often. Someone will say, oh, Marianne, you've got this great business and you've got this successful career and you're doing work you love, and but you just got it all together and you just come off as being so put together, and I'll say, listen, it wasn't always that way. And so they're shocked when they find out there was a period, 15 years ago where I felt at the bottom of the barrel, as low as a human being could go, and crying out to God, I don't want to live anymore, and that kind of thing. I'm a 17-year recovering alcoholic. And so, listen, if I thank you,
For you.
And if I can rise up, anybody can do it.
That's great.
Yeah.
When you talk about having those negative thoughts and everything like that, I've been pretty depressed at a really young age. Isn't it? Speak about people and having that level of depression or having such negative thoughts at such an early age. I mean, not before the age of 18 for some kids. I think that's really a burden.
Yeah.
For the families and for themselves.
Yeah.
What age were you able to shape your thoughts and start pulling yourself out of that? About how old were you?
40.
Really?
I mean, listen, from age 11, I remember lying in my bed, staring at the ceiling with tears streaming down my face into my ears, crying out to God, please let me die in my sleep. And I had those thoughts. Like I said, you write your story, and then you continue to write it. It becomes automatic and habitual. I'm not an expert. I really don't want to give any kind of advice, but certainly can share my story. Absolutely, what I should probably preface the conversation by saying, anybody who's experiencing any kinds of thoughts or feelings like that, go get medical help.
Certainly.
So I just got to say that out of the gate, because I'm not that person, and I can't speak to any of that. And I'm not a therapist in any way, but I would say it took me a long time to figure it out. It took me a long time because there are just so many disempowering messages, I think, around us. I first of all needed to be forced into the strongest pain point in order to go into a different direction.
Right.
It's too easy to be surrounded by negative messages. We were talking about that too. We were talking a lot before we recorded. And so it's too easy to kind of feed that and continue that. And it's hard to, listen, the hard work is changing yourself. And the reality is the only thing you can change. When we're talking all day long about this external chaos, as I talk about internal chaos and external chaos. The external chaos, you can't control the weather, can't control the fact that it's going to be 50 today and 70 tomorrow.
Right.
You can't control what's going on, with the pandemic. You can't. You can try, and most people try, and that's why it makes them more miserable. But you can control what goes on in here. It's the only thing you can control.
Right.
And the good news is, so the bad news is it's the only thing you can control. But the good news is it's the only thing you control, because that's where you can make change. That's where you can change. If you change yourself, you'll change everything around you.
From chaos to clarity, where'd that name come from?
Well, actually, I'll give a shout out to my friend Omar. I was talking to him one day about what I do, and we were just having a conversation, and he goes to me, Ren, you help people move from chaos to clarity. And I said, yeah, that's exactly what I do. And when we talk about chaos, there's all the external chaos. And when I work with leaders, I mean, you've got from social media to social circles, you've got chaos from your personal household to your professional headquarters. You've got chaos, emails and text messages, and so much coming at you. And so we talk about the tools to deal with all the external chaos, and but the far more dangerous chaos is internal, and that's what we're talking about. Writing your stories, because what holds you back is not out there. It's not the government. It's not your competition. It's not even the pandemic. What holds you back is in here. It's in here.
It's in there.
It's the stories that you write about who you are, who you're capable of becoming, and all that you're capable of accomplishing.
And that's what you start out. The first line in your book says, chaos is the biggest thief in our lives. It robs us of our goals. It robs us of our dreams.
Yep.
It robs us of our true purpose of living and the lives we were meant to live. Without clarity, it's impossible to reach your destination.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff. And here's, I'm not sure if they can see the book. Maybe you should hold the book there.
Success Journal. So I'm not sure where the camera is, but you know, this evolved out of hundreds of conversations that I had with leaders. And you'd be surprised. You look at somebody and you think, like people would say to me, you've got it all together. You're leading these teams. And by the way, when I define leadership, when I say leader, automatically we think of somebody in an organization who has a title and has people report to them. But a leader is anyone who has an influence over others. Mm-hmm. If you're a mom, you're a leader of your family. Quite frankly, we're all the leader of our own lives. You know, I just went to a rental car place the other day, and I wanted to influence the rental car company to give me a free upgrade. So anytime you want to be an influence, you're a leader. And so I would have these conversations with leaders that would say, well, I'm too young, I can't do that. I'm too old. I've got just two people right now that I'm working with. You know, well, I can't get that job. I don't have the right degree. And both of them ended up with landing super awesome, amazing jobs. And so it's the stories that you tell yourself that hold you back. So I decided to put this in a journal because your ideas determine your destiny. Your ideas about your thoughts about your past, your present, and your future. And so we would say about our past, I really screwed up yesterday. I blew up at the kids yesterday. Or, you know, I dropped the ball on a project. And I would say, well, what went right? 'Cause we focus on the one thing that went wrong, and we discount 100 things we did right. So I would say start writing down every day a journal of your successes from the day. Because what you focus on expands. What you focus on, if you focus on all the things that go wrong, you're going to get more things. You all had that morning where it's like I dropped my coffee, spilled the coffee grounds, got in a car accident once I left the house. I mean, it's just like it snowballs, and it works the other way as well. And so your ideas about your present, you know, people would say, I'm miserable in my job. I hate my boss is a tyrant. My team's awful. And I would say, tell me 3 things you're grateful for about your job. Well, wait, I just told you I hated it. Well, what you focus on expands, you know, and if you can start to focus on what you're grateful for, more things to be grateful for start showing up. These are the little things that we do when I want the job of my dreams. I want my business to grow. I want fulfillment and happiness. This is the way. This is the way through and the way to.
Yes. And it's very easy because you do some explaining about the theory and the reasoning with it, but then you also give people practical ways to go through. Like you said, it's pretty much done for you. You just, all you have to do is show up.
You can read this, the reading, you thumb through it, you can read it in 15 minutes. I mean, it's simple and that's intentional. Simple works. I mean, you think about any diet program, the more complex, I got to eat, you know, certain ounces of peaches and combine it with this and that. We don't stick with it. Simple works, but you got to do it.
Only 2 grams, not 2.5.
Yeah. No, you got to keep it simple, but you know the catch is you just got to do the work.
Right.
It's simple, but you just got to do it. Yeah.
Now you founded a nonprofit for at-risk youth.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because is something that, like I said, I did my homework on that, and I really like that. Let's talk about that.
So many years ago, I was working as a fitness instructor, and I was teaching at the YWCA here in Aurora, which the building is no longer there. It's where the parking lot for the casino is.
Right.
Okay.
That used to be the YWCA, and I was teaching hip hop. I know, I don't look very hip hop. I'll show you a picture. You'll laugh.
Oh my goodness.
I was gonna say, you got soul.
But I was teaching as an adult fitness class, and kids were coming around and, hey, can you teach me? And can we do this and that? And you know, there were kids that just honestly didn't belong. These weren't the football players and the cheerleaders and the student council body. They were just kids that just looking for a place to fit in.
Right.
And so we formed a 501c3. We it was a positive outlet for energy, and I'll tell you, this is such a great example of the stories that you write, because we were invited to compete in the National Junior Olympics. I mean, that's, names like Shaquille O'Neal,
Right.
Dominique
Wow.
Dawes, track legends, Carl Lewis, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. I mean, these were
Oh yeah,
people
Jackie
who
Joyner-Kersee.
these were people who competed in the National Junior Olympics, right? Next Stop Olympics. And I was like, impossible. It's impossible. Yeah, we're too young, we're too old, we don't have the right degree. We were going to be competing against kids from all across the country who had every privilege and opportunity money could buy, took private dance lessons all their lives, studied in the most elite dance studios, trained under the most professional trained dance instructors. Well, we didn't have that. I never had a dance class in my life. But I accepted the challenge. We were going to try to achieve the seemingly impossible. And we hop on a plane. We practice all summer. We hop on a plane. We were practicing at the old Aurora Central High School, which is now the police station on Root Street.
Right.
Okay. We get there and we walk in, and I don't know if any of you know, like, serious dancers are some real athletes. I mean, we walk in, there's toned, ripply bodies, and I mean, these costumes with sequins and feathers, and they had full makeup, little kids, eyelashes, fake ponies. I mean, boom. And they were gliding across the floor. It's like all ripple muscly. Here we come. Hip hop swagger, boom, boom, red, white, and black Nike soccer jerseys.
Yeah.
We had black swishy pants. You guys remember swishy pants?
I remember swishy pants.
When you walk, they go. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And then the bottoms sometimes had the zip for the leg.
You
Oh yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. So that was us. And I'm looking around and I'm going, what are we doing here? I mean, what are we doing here? And my goal was, oh God, please let us just blend in. I don't want to be last. I'm bringing these kids. I want to give them an experience of a lifetime. And what if we look foolish? What if we trip and fall on our faces? Or what if people laugh at us? Or worse yet, what if they just sit silently in their seats and say nothing at all? Yeah. So they go up, kids, they hit the stage and they hit their poses, boom, off the music that goes blaring, and they're stomping and clapping and hollering. The entire auditorium was on its feet. All the other dancers, the other parents, they're clapping and whistling and cheering for our kids from Aurora, Illinois. They were singing along to our Run DMC Sugar Hill Gang remix.
Ask that.
Hip hop to the hip.
Yes. And at the end of the day came, and I was so proud. They just getting up there and representing, that was achieving the seemingly impossible.
Yes.
I had no expectations beyond that. So the judges started calling out the winners at the end of the day. I'm like, maybe could they get like an honorable mention or something? I'm being a little greedy to think anything like that would be cool. And they announced, bronze medal, third place winners. They didn't call our name. That's all right. The silver medal, they didn't call it. It's all right. So when they started getting ready to announce the winners, I'm looking for the kids because we're going to go up and congratulate the winners. That's part of our mission, is just teaching them life lessons.
You have to do that.
Good sportsmanship, right? That was a big deal for us. So we practiced this before we went, okay? When they announced the winners, we're going to go up and share in their victory. So all of a sudden, and they do the big, the big reveal. 1998. National Junior Olympic gold medal champions. Off the ground dance troupe from Aurora, Illinois.
Oh, man.
Those kids let out a scream. They're gliding across the stage and they're, so proud up there. And I watched those judges place those red, white, and blue ribbons around their neck. Same medals they give out in the actual Olympics. And I'm thinking, what won those gold medals wasn't their hard work alone. Now, they did work hard. They worked really hard. But so did all the other kids work hard that day.
Of course.
But what won those gold medals, it was the stories they wrote about who they were who they were capable of becoming and all they were capable of achieving. That was it. It was all up here. And for people who say, I don't have the right degree, or I'm too young, or I'm too old, those kids, if they wrote that story about what they seemed like they could be, they never would have done it. But they saw their potential, possibility, opportunity, and they didn't take their eyes off the possibility and the opportunity. And that's what won those gold medals.
That's amazing. It reminds me of one of these like freedom writers, like one of those stories where you get these kids and they have a positive role model in their life that's making a difference and helping them achieve those goals.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, well, thank you. They did all the work. I mean, they really did. And, you know, it's just such a great example for leaders. And I'll tell you something else. We all have goals in our lives, right? I want a better job. I want to start my business. Maybe, you know, I want to retire at a certain age. And goals are so awesome. And that's what I help organizations do and what I help leaders do. But the goals, what's even greater than achieving a goal is who you become in the process of pursuing that goal.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah? Who you become is of far greater value. And it's who those kids became. That's what made them leaders. At the end of the day, we were back at the hotel, and there are boom boxes everywhere back then, you know, little cassettes. And I look around, and those kids, those from Aurora, Illinois, 11 years old, 12 years old, teaching hip hop to all these privileged kids from across the country.
Wow.
Who then probably went back home and, where'd you hear that music
Yeah.
from? The kids who won, Dad.
The kids who won, they were the leaders, they were the role models.
Do you still keep in touch with a lot of them?
Thankful for Facebook. Some of them,
do? Oh,
yeah,
good.
some of them. And they're all married with kids now. I mean, this was a long time ago. Yeah.
What a great success story.
Yeah.
Especially for Aurora, for those kids. And
Yeah.
just for
Yeah.
you.
It was great.
I really like to hear that because there's so many kids who want to do great things, and that is a milestone that'll live on with them forever.
Yeah.
You know, that'll live
Yeah.
on with them forever. That's a really good feeling. I remember when I won the spelling bee in 4th grade. I mean, that was
It's a big deal.
I still got that trophy.
Our messages are not reinforcing that we're winners.
Right.
So we need those things. So you need to, if you were my client, I would be like, I hope you remember that spelling bee every day. Write it in your journal. Refer back to it every time you feel like, I can't do that.
Right.
Oh yeah, I won that spelling bee. I won the Junior Olympics. Whatever it is. Yeah.
The time is now 9:04 a.m. and you are listening to and watching Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast. We are joined by our friend Marianne Renner, the author of Chaos to Clarity. Let's talk about some of your clients with as much discretion as possible.
Yeah.
Large companies.
Yeah.
Now you do the leadership training for large companies. Who are some of the companies?
So I tend to not reveal, my clients. I do. Well, one thing, it is public knowledge. I've done a lot of work with our city leaders. I'm so humbled and privileged and grateful for that opportunity. We have some super major rock stars that are running our city, and so.
And your website has a lot of reassuring statements and quotations from many leaders and a lot of organizations, so people can get that information there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I work with organizations. I have a leadership academy. Here's my favorite. Like I said, I love to come in and work with. I'll talk to a CEO, let's say, or a lead of an organization, and what we discover is that mid-level managers or the managers that are frontline are so hungry for growth. They're starving for development, because what tends to happen in an organization is the high-level leadership, they have the opportunity. They get the coaching, executive coaching, they go to the conferences, networking events, but those frontline managers, they're so valuable because they're the closest to the customer. So they have such a big impact on the organization, but they're the most underdeveloped and overlooked.
Right.
And they're hungry. So you'll teach them stuff and they just go implement. So I love working with those leaders, and I've got a 6-month academy where we talk a lot about communication. How do you, I think we can all identify, how do you have the tough talk that gets the results you need and maintains mutual respect? In organizations, people, and in life, it's really not even in business, but you tend to go to one extreme or the other. You don't deal with it at all, or you bark some orders that aren't well received. And so, or you're in the middle and you're sort of talking around the point. You're talking and talking and talking, not saying anything. So how do you have those tough talks so you can move things forward, get results? A lot of communication, a lot of managing conflict. Right now, I'm getting ready to do an all-day training for an organization in Nevada, school administrators, on getting through change. How do you navigate through change, right? And that's what we're all going through right now, difficult transition and change.
Right, yeah.
So a lot of that. So organizations, and then I have a number of individual clients, and they're coming to me, just the pain points. You know, I'm unhappy in my job. Do I want to change careers? Do I want to get promoted? Do I, whatever the problem is. And so we sift through the external chaos and the internal chaos and figure out where to go to work.
I like that. Sifting through the internal chaos and the external chaos to figure out where to go to work.
Yeah.
With individuals, is it more external or internal? As opposed to like an organization, is it more external?
You know what? I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Curtis. It's always internal for everybody. So think about building a house, okay? If you're going to build a house, think of the external chaos, and what we want to fix there is upstairs rooms of the house. Well, this is why I'm building the house. I want a bedroom, and I want a bathroom, and I want a kitchen. This is why I'm building it. We're going to go to work on that. But what happens if I don't first build? Where do I got to start if I'm building a house?
Foundation.
Bingo.
Right.
So your kitchen, your bathroom, your granite countertops, it all comes crashing down if you don't start with that solid foundation. And the solid foundation is the internal chaos, the internal clarity. It always starts here, almost always, let's say 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So I usually get brought in to work on the external chaos, and we do that for sure. That's the communication, the conflict, the tools, the strategies. How do you delegate? How do you prioritize? But we're always talking about making sure the foundation is solid, because that's usually the root cause.
One point in time in my professional career when I worked downtown, I was responsible for firing people. And I remember a novel idea I had was, rather than you guys being, happy that I'm the guy who will fire people for you, like, let's develop the people so they don't have to get fired. Like, let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater. You know what I'm like?
Yeah.
Maybe Steve is not performing well over here. Let's put him over and
do what he can do.
Yeah, he's coming in with a T-shirt that says "computer nerd." Put him on the IT section. Like, what? Let's. We don't have to do that. Sometimes you know, to your point about extremes.
Yep.
Doing nothing at all or going overboard. We don't have to do that.
Right.
We can look at the individual.
Yep.
I wasn't trying to do the internal chaos of the Steve at the moment, but we don't have to do that.
Yeah. And here's the deal with internal chaos. So much of the time, it's unconscious. It's a blind spot. So I don't know always what my internal chaos is. I can't see it. Because if I could see it, I'd fix it and I'd change it.
Right.
Yeah. I couldn't see, let's say, for example, I couldn't see that my story I was writing was, hey, what about me? And that I needed to shift that to service and how can I help others? So that's where it's so valuable to bring in that outside set of eyes to help you see what you can't.
Right.
Yes.
And uncover those blind spots, because blind spots are blind spots. So how do you know you even have them?
Now, another question. You were a bodybuilding champion.
Yeah, long time ago. Long time ago.
Another set of goals being set.
Yeah.
And then results oriented.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
So I've always been very goal oriented and very process oriented, and that is really part of the external chaos and the things that I'm working with teams to do. So it's kind of 3 layers. Is what's that North Star? So I'll go in, we'll say, because here's what happens most of the time. We want to start a project. We've got to start a social media. We've got to do this. And I say, why? You've got to have that objective. What's your why? And it seems obvious, but a lot of the times we don't do that. We just go right to the do. So in that case, let's say it was, want to win a bodybuilding competition. If you're an organization, I want to, increase my revenues, or I want to increase my clients. So what's that top goal? And then what are all the things that we need to make happen in order to reach that goal? So that might be a next level down. And then, all right, daily, what am I going to do every single day that if I do this every day, I'll get a little bit better and get closer to my goal? So like if you look at, let's say I want to lose 10 pounds, that's my North Star goal. And so maybe I want to measure that by getting on the scale. Okay, but I can't do that every day because the scale is going to stay the same.
Right.
So my focus has got to be, what am I going to do every day that if I do this every day over time, I'll get there. Go for a walk for 30 minutes a day. I'm going to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day. So when you're working in an organization for large scale goals, or whether you're trying to lose 10 pounds, that's the order you've got to go. What's the North Star? How are we going to measure it? And then what's that plan of daily action? What am I going to do every day? That's honestly what I followed when I was in bodybuilding. That's essentially the outline that we followed when I worked in something called continuous improvement, which is prevalent in manufacturing. It's also in healthcare. It's helping teams discover the root cause of a problem and then implement problem-solving tools. And that's kind of the strategy that we used when I worked with a $5 billion healthcare organization, or whether you're trying to organize your kitchen.
I went right to like a $5 billion healthcare organization. Well, I worked at Edward Hospital. I don't know how much money they got. But I went from there, then we said the kitchen part, then I went to like, yeah, you're right. Dishes, like organize that.
Yeah.
When they're dry, clean them, put them.
Yeah.
You're also involved in a lot of other charitable organizations throughout the community. Do you want to talk about some of those, Marianne?
Yeah, well, I'm on the CAP committee for CASA. So CASA Kane County is an organization. Big shout out to CASA and Gloria Kelly, who's the executive director, who's like just bananas over the top, amazing. And that's an organization that advocates for abused and neglected kids. And so I like to be part of organizations that support young people and empower young people. I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, we're sitting here talking about, moving from chaos to clarity. These kids, I mean, they're not even close to that. I mean, they need so much support. But ideally, if we could help those kids get out of those abused and neglected environments, that someday they can be that, Junior Olympics winner. And so,
opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been a past board member of Simply Destiny, which is an organization similar to the one I founded, and they're empowering kids big time in the same way. Teaching them, letting them go out and perform and serve as role models to others in the community as well.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear just all the influences that you have on these kids and just making such a difference in their lives.
Thanks. I love kids. I have a million nieces and nephews, and hey to all those guys that are watching, and my godson who's 10 who teaches me stuff all the time. There's just a ton of fun.
Sue Goldsberry said you made this a good morning, my sweet cousin.
She's my cousin. So you were talking about
Sue Goldsberry.
Big
so
family.
Curtis being a veteran and loving history. So Sue's dad, my uncle Elmer, who's no longer with us, wrote a book called Sea of Sharks, and he was a World War II hero, an officer in the Navy who's shipwrecked in the Pacific and survived. He floated on a raft for like 7 days and survived.
Wow.
And it's an amazing story. He was like a super awesome dude.
Sea of Sharks.
Sea of Sharks. You would love that book.
I got that written down right here.
Yeah, Elmer Renner.
Elmer Renner.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's Sue's dad.
See that?
How
Just
about
like
it?
That. Got a,
Bonus.
Yep.
That's
Double.
some
That's a
bonus
bonus.
info. Yeah.
So I want to let's go. I want to do some activities through the book right now.
Awesome.
There are 3 celebrations. Today, my successes are. So I'd like to ask you.
Yeah.
Your successes, 3 of them today.
Okay, being here with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like so I showed up here. So I'm all about service, and one of the things I talk to my clients about is showing up with a consultant mindset versus an employee mindset.
Oh.
And that's for all of us every day, showing up. What if you went to, let's say you go to work, but it translates to every area of your life. You went to work, because typically we show up to work, and if we go to our boss, usually it's for what? Hey, I want a raise. I want a bigger office. I want to work on that project.
Right.
Hey, I need time off. Hey, I'm going to be out. So it's me. But what if you showed up and your job, you were a consultant and your company was your biggest client, then how would you show up? I'm here to help you.
Whole different walk.
It's not you here to give me everything I want.
Right.
I'm here to help you. So I brought you guys coffee this morning because I'm like, how can I help Curtis and Christine and JV?
And that was
So that would go
right
in
to our
that would go in my
Thank you.
success journal.
all right.
It's the little things as well as the big things.
I like this this journal. Now I want to read another part. Excuse me. You are created with unique gifts that only you can bring to this world. Deep inside, you know it. You feel it. But your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs are holding you back. Some people say that they're too young, they'll never hire me. Some people say they're too old, they'll never hire me. But both of those are indicative that the chaos is within, or excuse me, internal as opposed to external.
Yeah.
Do people take a long time to get out of that mind? Is it hard to lose people from that?
It depends. The answer is it depends. Honestly, I've seen people go, oh, I never looked at it that way before, and boom, they make the shift. I got a client who came to me and he had all this external chaos. Hate my job. My boss is, bad strained relationship with my boss. Really long commute. Exhausted when he got home from work. Miserable. I said, okay, I can help you get into that job you want, but would you be open to a little mindset work? He said, yeah. Within 6 months, first of all, he found a job that he was applying for, and they offered him the position, and he said this. He goes, now I have another problem. I actually like the job that I'm in. It's like a Jedi mind trick. Once you do all this internal work to get to where you're going, it fixes the problems where you're at. Sometimes the answer is I don't need to leave.
Right.
Anyway, he did end up taking the job. So this was in less than 6 months. Doubled his salary.
Wow.
Eliminated the commute. The job was right in his backyard. Said, I got to pinch myself every day I go to work. So that happened in less than 6 months. Does that happen that way for everyone? Not everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So the answer is it depends.
Interesting. And what's the biggest change that you've seen in Aurora?
Since I've lived here, you know what? This city today, and I would say the last especially 2 or 3 years,
Right.
It's just, my head's gonna explode. Because when I came back here, it was about 25 years ago, after I was working out of state as a newspaper reporter. I loved jogging through Phillips Park. I live right up the street from Phillips Park, so I jog by Sierra in Montana, the gray wolves there in the zoo, jog around Mastodon Lake. 20 years ago, I wouldn't drive through Phillips Park. There was a lot of gang activity, a lot of violence, a lot of crime. It's like a new city. There was no one walking around downtown 20 years ago.
Wow.
No one walking around downtown.
Interesting.
So it's such a beautiful community. I love coming downtown. I love going to Indiro. I love eating at Altiro. I love, I'm so proud at all of the growth and the development and the change of this community and the people,
that are making the difference.
Yeah.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to the business owners and people now that are in this constant state of chaos with everything going on, with the pandemic and
it's tough.
restaurants shutting down and people, worrying about their jobs and their families?
It's tough. It's tough because the problems are real, and so you can't take it lightly. You can't say, "Oh, just have a positive attitude and everything will be okay." Yeah, it's tough.
Right.
And so listen, it's you gotta just focus on what's right in front of you. And that's the best thing you can do. There's certainly plenty coming at you that you are going to be very occupied if you just focus on what's right in front of you. Because when you start going beyond that, it gets overwhelming. And you can't solve problems from a place of overwhelm.
Ooh.
You can't solve problems from a place of stress, overwhelm, burnout. Your brain won't function.
Right.
Your brain, you go into fight or flight mode.
Right.
And we're designed so beautifully. So we go into fight or flight mode, and our brain just goes to one thought. Do I run, or do I fight? And every other part of your brain shuts down to protect you.
Right.
But when you're trying to solve problems, you need access to all those other parts of the brain. You know, so you got to just try to get out of overwhelm. You just focus on what's right in front of you is the best way to do that.
Great advice. Yeah.
The show ends on a positive note. But before we get to that positive note, I got to get you on record, Miss Renner. Got to get you on record. I'm an out of towner. I'm coming in. We meet. We're talking about chaos to clarity, and after that, I'm asking for a good place to go eat. Where are you sending me?
Well, I hate to do that to all the businesses. I'm gonna ask you what kind of food you like. Right now, I'm feeling Altiro.
Okay.
Altiro.
Yeah.
All right.
That's my new. You know, if you're going for dinner, but you know what? I'm a big Basil's fan, which is out by the mall.
Basil.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes. We interviewed Angelo.
Yeah, carry out, everybody. Just pick up. I mean, this is live, you know, and this is the day before, you know, tomorrow.
Start planning your weekend meals now.
I mean, I don't want to get into it, but listen, you know, because we're not going to be doing a lot of dining.
That's
So
true, yeah.
carry out. Just go carry out.
Yeah. Basil's carry
Love
out.
Basil's.
Very
Love
good.
Altiro.
And they have shared their coupons with us from time to time. We posted those in our Instagram story. 10% off and whatnot. So shout out to Basil's and Angelo.
They
Good
have
friends.
some amazing mac and cheese. I'm trying to think of what it is, but it's just lamb and bacon or something. It is just amazing. Mac and cheese to die for.
And you know, I'm at Indiro like 3 times a week, and I'm loving their
That's your place?
their egg tomato basil sandwich. Their Rolexes are really awesome for lunch. I like the chicken pesto
downstairs
sandwich.
area down there.
That's
with
nice
the
down there.
Yeah.
Hey, when all summer long, I'm out on the patio.
Yeah, when they got the breeze coming through. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a whole chill vibe right there.
Yeah.
The
I like it.
Norteño Rolex with
Love
the
the Norteño. That's
with
my
the
go-to.
jalapenos on there.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, a
Chorizo.
little vibe moment on the show today.
You mentioned food, Curtis.
Yeah.
This is
And avocado toast 2.0.
2.0.
Yeah.
Society 57.
Yeah.
1.0 is good too. There's more.
Yeah.
So the show ends on a positive note. What is your message today for the people of Aurora to take with them on this Wednesday?
Yeah. I'm going to say, you know what holds you back's not out there. Is in here. Everything within your control is in here, and what you focus on expands.
Wow.
What you focus on expands.
And where can people find your book or find you on
yeah.
social?
Yeah. So listen, let me also, you can find this on Amazon. You can also find it locally at Wickwood. But something that I created just for you guys, all your listeners, all your viewers, I created a ton of free resources that, in fact, you can get 2 free chapters of my book, which I've never done before. If you go to my website, which is mariannerenner.com, it's my name, /Aurora. So this page /Aurora is just for, I created it just for today.
Thank you very much.
And if you go there are 4 ways you might be sabotaging your success and you don't even know it. 5 leadership traits no one is talking about. 2 free chapters. I got a grow your control worksheet. So if you're feeling out of control right now, this is going to help you get back into a sense of control. I got a private video message just for you guys. So go to mariannerenner.com /Aurora and just take advantage as much as you can. It's a tough time, and I wanted to give you guys as much as I can.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank
And
you.
the website is great. It's a fantastic website too.
Thank
a whole lot of
you.
stuff on it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This has just been
Thanks for
a
being
joy.
here. Yes,
Yeah.
it's always good to learn more
Yeah,
about
this
people in
has
our
been.
community.
This is a lot of fun, and I knew from that first time when we chatted on the phone.
I remember that.
I knew from that first moment that, you know what, I'm really thankful. What I'm thankful for is to live in a city with a lot of good people like yourself, like proven leaders who spend their time trying to bring other people up, because it really does feel good. You know, I think about my volunteer work on the level that makes me feel good is making other people feel good. So I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys. I think this podcast is phenomenal for the city.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated.
Yeah.
We've got a lot more to come. Stay tuned for all that we have. This has been a great episode of Good Morning Aurora with our dear friend, Marianne Renner. The book, as we showed you guys, is Chaos to Clarity, a success journal. It is still Domestic Violence and Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so please, if you can, volunteer and donate to great organizations that we've been telling you about: Our Mutual Ground and Healing to Healthy with friends Susan May Romano and Amy Downing. Other than that, we hope that you have a blessed, positive, motivated, thoughtful, caring, strong day today. We will see you here tomorrow for a great interview with our friends from Fox Valley United Way. A little bit of something going on tomorrow. So have a great day, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.